Habits change who you are.
This is my favorite rule from James Clear, which is a habit missed once is a mistake. A habit missed twice is the start of a new habit. Never miss 2 days in a row.
Big things have small beginnings.
It's what you do right now that makes a difference.
If you were able to improve by 1% each day for an entire year, and those gains compound, you would end up 37 times better at the end of the year.
James Clear has this unbelievable insight. It doesn't make sense to continue wanting something if you're not willing to do what it takes to get it. If you don't want to live the lifestyle, then release yourself from the desire. To crave the result, but not the process, is to guarantee disappointment.
You can just say if you want a habit to be a big part of your life, make it a big part of your environment. If you want to reduce the impact a habit has, make it a smaller part of your environment. Reduce exposure.
What could I do to start increasing my progress and make my health better, make my income better, make my investments better, make my value to the marketplace much better, get busy learning the second skill and the third skill and the next language and the next language to increase my value? I got to get busy and do that.
Every action you take is kind of like a vote for the type of person you want to become. And if you can master the right actions, if you can master the right habits, then you can start to cast votes for this new identity, this desired person that you want to be.
As soon as he said, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems, I think people stopped thinking about goals. And he made a really great argument, which was everybody at the start line of the 100-meter race has the same goal. It's to win. So it's not the person who has the best goals, it's the person who has the best systems and preparation.
Look, if you had one shot, one opportunity,
everything you ever wanted
in one moment,
would you capture it or let it slip?
Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right.
This is what I believe to be true. You have to do everything you can. You have to work your hardest. And if you do, if you stay positive, you have a shot at a silver lining.
There are some habits that you absolutely have to realize your full potential. And one of them is the habit of task completion. Being able to complete your task and finish what you start is an essential part of character building. You cannot imagine a fully mature, fully functioning person who is unable to finish what he or she begins. The development of this habit is the key to long-term success.
But the power of habits is that as you practice them, they start to change your identity. They become evidence that you're the kind of person that goes for a run. So in the beginning, habits are just something that you and I do. But over time, habits change who you are.
The little things are the big things. It's really a function of consistency, like waking up early, showing up every single day, paying attention to those small things. You can't anticipate everything. There's always going to be something that can derail you, but when you're paying attention to as many of the things that are within your control as possible, achieving the big goals are about like doing the tiny little things every day.
Right? How does this internal story that we tell ourselves, our identity, become shaped and formed? And I realized that it's mostly through the repetition of that story. And so what you come to realize is that your habits reinforce a particular identity. And sometimes this can be positive and sometimes it can be negative.
See yourself as one of the most highly efficient and hardworking, successful people that you know. Feed your subconscious mind with this picture until it's accepted as a command. Remember, the person you see on the inside is the person you will be on the outside. If you create an imaginary picture of yourself performing as a hard-working individual, your subconscious mind reacts exactly as if that were what you are actually doing at the moment. Each time you remember an occasion where you were performing at your best with confidence, your mind imprints it into your self-concept. The more often you see yourself as the very best you can possibly be, the more rapidly this becomes your automatic behavior. You program yourself for success by feeding your mind with positive pictures, either images that you create or repeat pictures of previous peak performing experiences.
what you find is that the deeper you study human behavior, the more that you see that so many of the actions we take each day are simply a response to the system that we find ourselves inside. And so the argument that I make in the book is that what you need to change is not necessarily your goal, but your system. And the phrase that I like to use is, we do not rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems.
James Clear says in his book, Atomic Habits, you don't have a discipline issue and you don't have a consistency issue, you have a systems issue. If you are struggling to stick to the plan that you put in place to get to wherever it is you want to go, you just haven't figured out the system that works for you. This applies to any goal you set, fitness goals, financial goals, personal goals.
Your outcomes in life are often a lagging measure of your habits. Like a lot of the time people talk about, I want to have more money, or I want to lose weight, or I want some kind of result. But the truth is, your bank account is a lagging measure of your financial habits. Your weight is a lagging measure of your eating habits. Your knowledge is a lagging measure of your learning and reading habits. And so it's actually, we think the thing that needs to change is the bank account or the test score or the number on the scale, but actually the thing that needs to change are the habits that precede those outcomes.
And so our identity in Alex's worldview is just the amalgamation or the aggregation of all of the behaviors that we do, just put together. It's all the stuff we do.
The thing that you're doing now in terms of a behavior might mean a little to you, but not that much. And your pleasure in doing something that could be infinite.
Yeah.
True behavior change is really identity change. And what I mean by that is, if you start to look at yourself in a new way, if you assign a new story to yourself, you're not even really pursuing behavior change anymore. You're just acting in alignment with the type of person that you see yourself to be.
So this idea that start by keeping these small commitments to yourself that you make.
It's about the consistency of the small steps.
Your brain learns patterns.
You show me your habits and I will tell you how successful you will be able to continue to be in the long run.
A habit is when you've done something so many times that your body now knows how to do it better than your conscious mind.
It's changed the way I live my life. I cultivate so many little routines out of every day. Small steps stick. Just a little bit of progression. And that'll make you feel good.
The first step has to be incredibly small. Do that. Make it so small that you can't say no to it. And then what's next? And then what's next?
If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. And if you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing, right? So clearly there's no results, can't be measured, it must not be effective. So we quit. Or if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action and you stick with it, you commit yourself to an act of service. You commit yourself to the regime, the exercise. But if you stick with it consistently, I'm not exactly sure what day, but I know you'll start getting into shape.
If you start today, you're gonna have benefits in the future. Doesn't matter the time. What is important is what you want to achieve. Yeah. What you want. You want to live a good life? Yes. I like to drink. I like to eat burger. Okay. You're gonna pay the bill in the future.
Lazy people don't know how to start. Weak people don't know how to finish. Successful people don't know how to stop. People demand success, but refuse to work weekends. People want opportunity, but won't talk to strangers. People claim ambition, but sleep in every day. We are the result of our actions, not our aspirations.
I think why habits matter. We often talk about habits as being the pathway to external results. Oh, habits will help you lose weight or make more money or be more productive or reduce stress. And, it's true. Habits can help you do all those things, and that's great. But I think the real reason that habits matter is they reinforce a new identity. They reshape the way you think about yourself. Every action you take is like a vote for the type of person that you wish to become.
I think the most important is to find the balance. Sometimes I can eat a burger or chips. Well, it doesn't matter. And it's important too for your mind too. Sometimes I sleep 2 o'clock in the morning because last night I was in UFC here in Saudi and the main event, it's 2 o'clock. Yes, it's quality of life too. Yeah. But the most important thing, it's the consistency. If you have consistency, you're gonna be better than other ones in the future.
Everybody who's earning 10 times as much as you did not do it in a big leap. If it's a big leap, it gets into the newspapers. But the people who are doing really well did it incrementally. It's called the law of incremental improvement, or the law of accumulation. Every great success is an accumulation of many little tiny efforts that nobody ever sees or appreciates, but they start to accumulate like a snowball. they start to build up and build up. And over the course of years, the person is more and more productive.
You are the product of your daily habits. Where are you right now? Are you happy with where you are right now? Are your habits in line with where you want to be? And look, we can't change the past. We can feel regret and acknowledge that. But as we look into the future, we have to define 2 points. Number one, where are we right now? And where do we want to be? And once you've done this, you can identify the daily habits that are going to get you there, so that in a year from now, you're congratulating yourself and you're proud of the choices that you've made to reach your goals.
Small changes often appear to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold.
The power of suggestion says that everything that you take in, everything that you think about, everything that you read, everything that you listen to, all of your conversation, radio, television, newspaper, books, papers, magazine, everything that you allow to influence your thinking affects your subconscious mind, affects your attitude, your expectation, your values, your beliefs, and ultimately your potential as a human being. In fact, the great difference between human beings is not intelligence and not education and not opportunity. It is what they are feeding into their minds on a regular basis.
Is to just try to find a way to get 1% better each day. It doesn't need to be something radical. It doesn't need to be something huge, but habits are easy to overlook, both good and bad, on any given day because they don't seem like very much. The difference between studying Spanish for an hour tonight and not studying at all seems like nothing because it's like, well, I still didn't learn the language. And the difference between eating a salad versus eating a burger and fries seems like nothing because your body looks the same in the mirror and the scale is the same at the end of the night. It's only once your habits have compounded over 2 or 5 or 10 years that the full impact of those 1% choices, 1% better or 1% worse, becomes fully apparent.
This is what you have to realize. It's not you. It's patterns that you've selected. You've selected them over and over and over again, and they've become you. It's like you went down a groove. You don't have to stay on that groove. You don't have to.
In other words, we see a person who is wealthy, got a beautiful home, beautiful car, financially independent, but we don't realize that there are years and years and years of hard work, struggle, and sacrifice that preceded it. We see the person, we see the end result, and we say, isn't that person lucky? Well, the fact of the matter is that there's no luck. It's just this long process of accumulation, and everything counts. Every single honest effort that you make toward becoming a better person accumulates like a snowball and has an effect. Every single time you do something that takes you away, that wastes your time, wastes your mind, wastes your thought, and so on, that has an effect too, and that accumulates.
One day, win today. Then you wake up tomorrow and you do the same thing. And then you wake up on Wednesday and you do the same thing. Then you wake up on Thursday and you do the same thing. And guess what happens then? You create a winning streak. And when you do this long enough, you're forming new habits. Okay? And after a while, winning the day is not hard. It's easy. It becomes automatic. And when you get to the point where you're winning every day and it's automatic, guess what happens? Winning becomes who the fuck you are. And when winning becomes who the fuck you are, guess what you become? Become a winner.
Asking people to change their habits is actually asking them to change their tribe. And that can be hard, especially if you have to do it on your own. Because if people have to choose between having the habits they want and being alone, or having the habits they don't want and being with people, having friends, belonging, we'd often rather be wrong with the crowd than right by ourselves. So many of our choices are like that. And in many ways, when we're young, a lot of our habits are not chosen, they're inherited. They're passed down to us by whatever group that we're a part of. And then, part of the process of becoming an adult is you grow up and you get into your 20s and 30s and you decide, these groups that I inherited, these behaviors that I inherit, are these the ones that serve me? Or are these the ones that I want?
You have to be the champion before you become the champion. So that means lifestyle. Have to be him before you become him. You gotta be him before you become him.
Let me just put it this way. Everything does count. And you have to ask yourself this question. I learned this many years ago. Is ask yourself this question: what is it that you want in life? And once you've asked yourself what it is you want in life, then you can look at around your world and you can determine what is right for you and what is wrong for you. What does that mean? It means that everything that moves you toward what you want is right, and everything that moves you away from what you want is wrong, but everything counts.
Once you start to succeed at something, the probability that you will continue to succeed ever more rapidly increases. There's an exponential function with regards to success, but there's also an exponential function with regards to failure. So failure and success aren't like this. They're like this. Fail, fail, die. Succeed, succeed, succeed ridiculously. What people produce creatively isn't normally distributed. A small proportion of people produce most of what's of value. It doesn't matter what it is.
What is that? What is that? That's every fucking day. That's how you put yourself out like that. Never half-assed, full steam ahead. Mach speed is what you're going for. Why? Because we are what we repeatedly do every day. Every single day. Our practices are not for the game, and this is our day. We are what we repeatedly do every day. Therefore, excellence that we're striving for every single day. We wake up early, striving for it, pushing for it, giving it all in a workout every single day, striving for excellence. We are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is not an accident, but a habit.
Life is so difficult and challenging that unless you give it everything you have, the chances are very high that it will embitter you, and then you'll be a force for darkness and not good. The fact that life is short and can be brutal can terrify you into hiding and avoiding. You can flip that on its head and understand that since you're all in anyways, you might as well take the risks that are adventurous.
This is the one attribute that when anybody asks me what I would attribute my success to, this is it. Here's what it is. It's not how fast you start. See, at the start of the race, everybody's there. It's not going to be about what you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, I encourage you to go after it, but that's not ultimately going to determine where you end up to get to this stage. It's not how fast you start. It's how long you last.
Now, the great mistake that many people make is they go a little bit forward and a little bit backward. They do a few things that are good for their mind and a few things that are crummy for their mind, a few things that are good and a few things that are crummy. And you know where they end up? Exactly where they started. The good offsets the bad. What you have to do is you have to put yourself on the side of the angels so that your predominant intake of mental food are positive and constructive and moving you in the direction that you want to go in.
A blade does not become strong. It does not become tempered until it's been through the fire. Until it's been through the fire several times. And this is just your first or second time through the fire. And there's a lot of hammer work that has to take place. And then you're going to have to go back in the forge again.
Successful people, winners, use their time well. Losers do not. The question is, how badly do you want to learn how to manage your time well? How much effort are you willing to put into it? Because the key to time management is self-discipline. Probably the best way to put it is this, is time management is self-discipline in action, and self-discipline is the key to success.
Faith unused decreases. It's a law. Vitality unused diminishes. Energy unused decreases. The guy says, well, I'm going to save up my energy. You can't do that. That's like trying to save today, put it on the end of the year. See, you can't do that. They'll come take you away. If you don't use today, what? It's lost.
It's like a drug, guys. It's like a drug. Success is as addicting of a drug as any chemical drug. It's a high, so your endorphins released naturally. You don't need to shoot up for it. You don't need to snort. You guys gotta sweat for it. And the results are something that build on each other instead of deteriorating you and breaking your foundation down. This shit right here, guys, is the cornerstone to every monumental task and achievement that you're proud of for the rest of your life. This dries into a foundation of legacy.
The most important of all, the core of time management, the axle around which the wheel of life turns, is goals. What are your goals? What is it that you want to be or to have or to do? What is it that you want to accomplish in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? The top 3% in every field have goals. The balance of the population have either very vague goals or no goals at all. So the question you have to ask yourself is, who am I? Where am I going? What do I want to accomplish?
So imagine you have a hose that's like bent in the middle, and there's a little bit of water trickling out. If you want to get more water through the hose, then you have two options. The first is you could just crank up the valve and force water through. But that increases friction and increases tension in the system. The other option is just to unfold the bend and let the water flow through naturally. And that also gets more water to flow through, but it reduces tension, reduces friction. And so much of the conversation about building better habits and achieving peak performance is all the mental equivalent of cranking up the valve. You need to work harder, you need to have grit, persevere, hustle, grind. And it's not that those qualities are bad, it's just that it increases tension in the system. And what you really want is to create a setup where it's easy to do the things that pay off in the long run, and you have the mentality of, I'm the type of person who will work hard.
Any accomplishment is just a new, higher bar for you to get over in future. I see this in my own work. Let's say we do a new episode that hits 1 million plays in a day. Amazing. That's very exciting and a new record. Also, that means that every video in future is now going to feel unimpressive until we hit 1.1 million or higher. In this way, rapid increases in success are more a curse than a blessing. So here's the theory: slow success strategy. Even though we might want our goals and accomplishments to arrive immediately, maybe a smarter strategy is to stretch out the achievements of our dreams. We shouldn't wish for overnight success, as we would then need to be able to beat it pretty soon, lest we feel like we're declining. Instead, slow, consistent progress is a more reliable way to maintain satisfaction. Purposefully aiming for slow success strategy may actually ensure that you always feel like you're going in the right direction. Achieving the result is never as good as what you think it's going to feel like.
Success is, if you're looking for the answer of what caused these people to get on the cover of Success magazine, success is a result of small, seemingly insignificant, moment-to-moment choices. The only thing that separates them from you is that accumulated compound effect of those little choices that created dramatic differences in results.
What you practice in private, you'll be rewarded for in public. A lot of the day-to-day habits that we do each day either help or hinder us in life. A lot of our habits that we create are negative ones that feel good in the short term, but are often terrible for us in the long term when it comes to our health. Take getting up early as one example. It's very difficult to get up in the winter mornings, especially when it's dark and cold. But early mornings for a lot of us can be the most productive of times to get the selfish things we need to get done before the world
process.
The people that are top movie stars over and over and over again, they're not lucky. They're not lucky. They train it to win it, to earn it. Experience over and over again. Because they're that good. No one's better than them. And they don't give them an inch. They kill themselves every day like this, so that distance between them and their competition fucking grows. Can't say enough, guys. You are what you repeatedly do every day. So whatever you're doing, it's what you become. If excellence is something you're striving for, then it's not an accident. It's a habit.
I feel like a lot of people don't understand, me included, to think that we can do that by changing our thoughts first. Actually, the way to control our nervous system and feel the way we want to feel is to run that backwards. So if you change your behavior, then generally your thoughts, your feelings, and your perceptions change. Mood follows.
This has like been my mantra forever.
If you're here and your ideal is here and that gap is unbearable, then you reduce the gap and you reduce the gap. And you're going to have to do that anyways, because you're not going to move from where you are to perfect in one fell swoop, right? There's going to be incremental steps. It doesn't matter how big the first steps you take uphill are, even if they're trivial, even if they're shameful in their size. If you're disciplined in that, you'll speed up extraordinarily rapidly. Once you get the ball rolling, you go like this.
I just stopped going on social media. I will occasionally, if someone sends me something funny, I'll watch it, but then I get off my phone right away. And I think on my new phone number that I'm gonna get, I'm not gonna have any social media. I'm just gonna keep my old phone number and only use that for social media. I just don't think it's good for you. I just think it's a giant waste of time.
I'm gonna tell you right now, 30 days ain't gonna do shit for you. The permanent, you wanna make it permanent. Permanent, you start talking about a year, 18 months, 2 years, that's a sacrifice. And when you commit yourself to something for a year, you're not gonna say, oh, I'm gonna let that go. Because in your mind, you have it clear as day. That year took a lot out of me. That year built me. That year started to scrape away all that scar tissue, started to clean me up. 30 days doesn't clean it up. A year, it cleans you up nicely, man. Whatever your problem is, if you can dedicate yourself for a year to something, you could be a changed person.
You're not who you think you are, you just simply are what you repeatedly do. So you can think positive things, you can think, this is huge in relationships, you know, like I could tell my wife, I think you're beautiful, I think I love you, I just don't say it. Well, she's not gonna know and feel it unless I show her with my actions. I used to drink 3 times a week, get like blackout drunk, go out with my friends, and I loved it. You know, I loved the social life. I was in college hanging out with people. It was the only time in my life I had to be able to live like that, and I was aware of that. So I didn't want to sacrifice that. So I did that for a period of time, but then I wanted to take bodybuilding more seriously. I was on the edge of going pro, and I knew I had a lot of potential in me, but I knew my lifestyle was holding me back. But I also wasn't ready to sacrifice my social life yet. So I still stayed out until 2 a.m. every night, but I made one small change, and that was to stop drinking. I was able to make a decent amount of progress from that alone. And the momentum I built from that one small change encouraged me to want to make more changes. And eventually, I stopped going out completely, started to go to bed early. I started to clean up my diet, and I started to make all these little changes that eventually, that literal year was the year that I turned pro, won 2 pro shows, and made it to the Olympia, just from making these subtle changes.
Wouldn't you want to know what would happen if you spent just 1 year, giving it your absolute all? You gave your diet your absolute all. You gave your fitness regimen your absolute all. You gave your work your absolute all. How drastically would your life change in just 1 year? 1 year of uninterrupted focus. I bet your life would change drastically. I bet you'd be a completely different person. I bet you'd be completely unrecognizable. I bet you would look back and be like, I can't believe I was living the way I was. Time is going to pass anyway. The next year of your life is going to happen regardless of what you do. So why don't you spend that year giving it your absolute all and just see what happens? If you do that, I guarantee you will look back 1 year from today and say, that was the best decision I have ever made.
Everything counts. Everything that you read, everything that you listen to, everything that you watch on television, every magazine that you pick up, every conversation that you have, positive or negative, is affecting your subconscious mind, which is programming your future. Remember, your external world is a reflection of your internal world. Your external world is a reflection of your internal world. If there is negativity, concern, anxiety, fear in your internal world, then it's going to be reflected in your external world. So be sure that what you're taking into your mental diet is just as pure as what you would take into a physical diet if you wanted to sustain high levels of physical health and energy. Absolutely important. Feed your mind with books, feed your mind with tapes, feed your mind with positive conversations, feed your mind with courses, go and attend them, listen to experts, feed your mind with positive people. Poor people should take rich people out to lunch. Why? Because taking a rich person out to lunch is an opportunity to learn from that rich person, to get information from that person that you could not buy at any price. Poor people should take rich people out to lunch.
It's fucking day one. When you're standing at the fucking foot of the mountain, bro, it seems impossible. You're like, oh, dude, that's way too simple. That's not really how it's done. You mean you just execute today and then you do it again tomorrow? Like, that sounds overly simple. It might be, but it's how it works. There's not a magical thing to it. The only fucking magic to it is the momentum that you create that helps you push you even faster towards where you're going.
Listen, this is to anybody who's watching this. Subscribe to Inspired by Florian. Period.